Hello, my name is Robert Hansen, and I will be doing another reading of my writing. The Case of Rodney Brown. Act 1. The stage is now set for Rodney Brown. Rodney Brown is known for days now, to the exact minute, 10:06, of when he was going to die. After the sequence of events in the hours and days leading up to his execution, Rodney was desperately trying to distract his mind from his own impending demise. Hours prior, the executioner stripped him of his usual orange jumpsuit, which he had worn since this entire gruesome ordeal began, more than 5 years ago. But the executioners replaced that same outfit with a hospital gown. Now he was properly dressed for the occasion. After waiting without end, at least this is how it felt to him, the executioners escorted him to the execution chamber. One of the guards was wearing an old-fashioned pocket watch. Tick, tick, tick. Rodney couldn't help but think about the remaining few minutes of his life. Each passing minute brought him 3% closer to his death. For every 10 seconds, the time came 0.108% closer to his death. With his knees now buckling and almost ready to give out from underneath him, he began to have trouble walking. "Everything will be all right. It'll be painless. You'll barely notice it happening," one of the prison guards kept on repeating. But the prison guards had to carry him part of the way to keep the schedule for his execution. To the left of Rodney stood a tall black gentleman. To the right, also helping to escort Rodney, stood a somewhat dumpy and overweight white male. Rodney looked to his left and couldn't help but notice that it was the same prison official whom he overheard complaining one day about what to do with the corpse afterwards, and even hoping to not be the one to clean the body in the prison morgue. "Why did I get stuck with these characters?" Rodney thought to himself. "These will be the last people I see alive. A Putz to my right, and Mr. Ignoramus to my left. This isn't fair. This isn't just. I am innocent," he continued thinking. Again, one of the executioners spoke to calm Rodney minutes prior to his last moment of life. "It's okay. It's okay. It's painless. You'll just fall asleep." Almost as though time slowed down, Rodney could observe his own rapidly beating heart, quick shallow breaths, apprehensive footing, and the adrenaline of extreme fear. Tap, tap, tap. He could hear the steps of the guards, and with every step closer to the execution chamber, his horror increasingly spiked that much more. "I have a daughter and a wife," he thought, forgetting that his wife had taken their daughter and later separated from him over 3 years ago. They haven't spoken in years, but that didn't matter to Rodney in his last few moments of life. "I am back at my old apartment. I just came home from the construction site. It's not much," he continued thinking to himself, "but it pays the bills." After he closed the door to his apartment, he'd hear the footsteps of his daughter quickly approaching. "Daddy, you're home. I have something to show you. I drew it in school. Do you like it?" she proudly asked. "I love it. It is the most amazing, superest thing I have ever seen." Tick, tick, tick. The pocket watch continued ever closer to Rodney's death as it quickly snapped his mind back to his actual physical location. Rodney was now standing in the execution chamber. Derek, the black gentleman, quickly signaled for him to make his way onto the gurney to not waste any time. Rodney did this as best he could. The guards then secured him to the gurney with ankle and wrist restraints, which locked him into place. After the two guards restrained Rodney, a medical employee checked Rodney's arms for a location to stick the IVs. Thump, thump, thump. He checked Rodney's right arm first, but after a while he left the room with a look of bewilderment. A few minutes passed, and the medical personnel re-entered the execution chamber. Next, he vigorously shook Rodney's arm. Not being able to come up with any medical procedure where this would happen, More unease swept over Rodney's mind. What are you doing?" Rodney nervously asked, remembering a few botched executions about which he read. The medical official just nervously looked back at him. Next, he inserted an IV into Rodney's right arm. This tubing stretched from Rodney's arm through the wall and all the way to the adjacent room. The room adjacent would be from where his executioners would be injecting their poisons. The medical official now quickly inserted an IV into Rodney's left arm. A moment of silence followed. Normally, in these moments, a priest would offer comfort to the condemned, but Rodney explicitly requested that no religious personnel were to accompany him in the chamber or even in the hereafter, for all Rodney cared. Besides, his faith in a higher power had waned over the last few years because he believed the state was committing an injustice. "I'm innocent. I've killed no one. I don't choose to be the prosecutor's example." Though Rodney oft repeated these words, they fell increasingly on deaf ears. Both guards wheeled the gurney toward the curtain, which covered a window. 6 witnesses, 4 members of the press and 2 family members, remained seated outside in the observation chamber. The dumpy white guard then turned to Rodney and asked, "Do you have any final words?" Looking directly at the family and with great difficulty speaking in between his nervous sobs and breaths, he uttered these words. "I did not execute your husband and child. You are angry at the wrong person. The state is executing the wrong person." Rodney laid there with the stage all set. His executioners were to inject 3 of their poisons, a barbiturate, a paralytic, and a final one, which would finally stop his heart. However, prior to these moments, he could overhear the ringing of a telephone in the adjacent room, followed with a muffled conversation through the walls. However, he could not make out any of the words. Seconds later, a woman very professionally dressed, in contrast to the prison guard uniforms, entered the execution chamber. "Stop! Stop! Stop! Rodney! Your stay of execution has come through. The appeals court wants to take another look at your case." Everything ceased. To be continued. If you like what you hear, please like, share, or subscribe. Thank you.